Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers, and today is our second film curated by Katrina, previous guest. We previously did. We previously gave Thomas stutter. We previously did Easy A, and we'll be taking our first foray into animation. That's not true. I keep saying that, but it's not true. We've done multiple animated films.
Chicken Run.
Yeah, Christ. But our first foray into Ghibli. Yeah, Chicken Run's fine.
Your first your first foray into anime, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But this is I feel your second choice is a movie that came out in 2007, a glorious year for film, and I feel is a very specific and big movie for our generation. I feel.
I suppose for the generation of the people that have seen it.
Yeah.
It's a very underrated film.
Do you think?
Yeah. So many people I talk to have never seen this film.
Really? I've always been in circles that do. Anyway, let's because I keep seeing him nodding. Because as well as having wonderful Katrina units here, we also have Joe Mobbs, who is a friend who mentioned. What's so funny?
I was so suspicious. We are just friends. Let me just clarify that.
Just the way you pause as if
in
you
the
had
50s.
like,
In the 50s.
Friend. Yeah,
50s.
you'd lived together as roommates.
Yeah, so business partners.
Exactly.
But it's a movie that Joe loved so much that he had to jump on board. I won't let you introduce it, Joe, because it is Katrina's pick, however. Usually I let the guests introduce. But Katrina, what movie is it?
Oh my God, Tom, thanks for asking. The film is Stardust.
Victoria, for your hand in marriage, I'd cross oceans or continents.
You're funny, Tristan. Oh, Tristan, a shooting star. Oh, beautiful.
I'd cross the wall and I'd bring you back that one star.
You can't cross the wall. Nobody crosses the wall. Now you're just being silly.
I'd do it.
It seems we have ourselves an agreement.
Why, may I ask, were you trying to cross the wall?
I might ask you the same thing. Madam, sorry. This may seem strange, but have you seen a fallen star anywhere? We're in a crater. This must be where it fell.
Yeah, this is where it fell.
You're the star. You're the star? Really? Oh, wow.
Only he of royal blood can restore the ruby. And the one of you that does so shall be the new king of Stormhold.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right, explain this then, because I thought this was huge with everybody. I've never met a person ever who doesn't love Stardust.
Oh, and I know everyone who's seen it loves it.
Yeah.
I would say. It's just, certain people, like, especially if they grew up in a family where they didn't watch films, they just haven't seen it.
Any of these rumours going around about a fallen star? Everyone's talking about it.
4 centuries we've waited for this. Never fear, my sisters. When I return with our prize, all of us shall be young again.
This is the part where you tell me who you are and why you're up here.
We're just trying to make our way home.
Has excessive begging or pleading ever persuaded me to spare the life of a traitor?
And the glory of our youth shall be restored.
I know what you are.
You want to know what the captain really whispered to me that day? He told me that my true love was right in front of my eyes. And he was right.
I've seen it.
I guess it's I guess it's a kids' film in some ways. And so if you're later in life and you're one of those people, because I do think there are certain groups where if you don't watch specific kids films as a child, you will never watch them as an adult. Whereas if let's say Chicken Run or whatever, if you watch Chicken Run as a kid, you'll watch Chicken Run still as an adult. If you didn't watch Chicken Run as a kid, when you're a 30-year-old person or whatever, you're not going to go, yeah, Chicken Run, why not? In certain circles, I know that all three of us are not that at all.
I think it might be just sort of a victim of the fact that it came out just before franchises were happening, with these big kind of like, you know, Harry Potter was well in its way, the MCU was just about to start, and like that sort of niche of like tweens, early teens kind of films kind of got swept up under the rug because
I feel like
fantasy
wasn't it wasn't like this kind of fantasy. It was like wizards and stuff at this time as well. So I think you're right with that.
Yeah, this is like pre-Tolkien sort of English folklore kind of fantasy. It's not cool. It's not cool enough.
Yeah.
Give me my dwarves and elves. I'm kidding.
And we're past Lord of the Rings, but we're not into the Hobbits yet. Not that the Hobbits were a gigantic success.
No.
But yeah, Stardust. It comes from the the illustrated novel by Neil Gaiman of Sandman fame. Are you a big Neil Gaiman fan, Joe? You did A Chef's Kiss.
I am. I'm not necessarily in the sense that I actively seek out his works, but everything that I have come into contact with, I have always enjoyed. But I'm more of a Matthew Vaughn fan.
Yes, this is an interesting conversation that I thought we could kick off with, is that this film is indeed directed by Matthew Vaughn, who I think has had a pretty excellent batting average, all in all.
He really does.
There's a few films he's made where I'm like...
It's usually sequels.
He's terrible at sequels.
Yeah.
He's so bad at sequels.
Kick-Ass 2.
Brilliant at The Kingsman, Secret Circle.
They did my
Pedro
boy.
Pascal in it. It had Pedro Pascal in it, and they ruined it.
They did him so dirty. They did him so dirty.
I've always been a Secret Circle guy, and I say this. I've never rewatched it, but then again, I've never rewatched the first Kingsman either. I watched them both at the cinema, and I enjoyed them thoroughly. I really enjoyed the Secret Circle. I thought the fingering
Golden Circle.
Golden Circle.
Yeah.
I thought the whole fingering in the Pixie Lodge
Glastonbury tent, yeah.
was bizarre.
So the first one, I really liked the first one, and I've only seen it like twice.
Yeah.
And then the second one, I was like, oh, I'm never watching this again.
The second one gets worse on a rewatch.
Yeah.
I've seen the first one a lot, and I saw the second one a good 3 or 4 times, and it definitely sort of loses its momentum, because when you're watching it in the cinema, it is because what Matthew Vaughn does really well, and like that's why Stardust works so well when he's directing it. He's really good at plot and making sure the plot threads are all working, but like when it comes down to like character development and like growth, there's not much he actually does, which is why with sequels it always seems like rehashing or sort of characters that are stuck somewhere.
We can't put the blame on Kick-Ass 2 on him. He didn't actually do Kick-Ass 2. That was somebody else.
Oh, I thought
That's
he
true.
did.
That is true. He was involved in it. He didn't direct it.
He didn't direct it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it didn't have Evan Peters in it, so it was going to be trash anyway.
And there was the weird thing of Jim Carrey obviously being in it and doing a great performance, but then immediately before the film's release saying, I don't agree with the violence, even though obviously, which was bizarre because obviously he knew how violent it was going to be.
And still did it.
It's really weird. Kick-Ass 1, I watched Kick-Ass 1 way too young. Why was a 10-year-old watching Kick-Ass? I don't know.
That's a great film.
But I'm telling you right now, Stardust and Kick-Ass really solidified my type in men. Really did. You've got like nerdy, like brunette, like skinny guys, but are like really sweet and all this, and like believe in like heroic stuff. And now I look at all the past like like, you know, like films or TV shows, I'm like, when I've picked my favorite character, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god.
You see, Stardust did the similar thing, but my taste in women. It's witches.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Well, this was okay. Despite me only being 7, I had already seen Batman Returns and had fallen head over heels with Michelle Pfeiffer. So I remember and was big into De Niro at the age of 7. And I thought, so I was really excited to watch Stardust for Robert De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer. And I mean, she didn't disappoint, neither did he. Well, this is the reason it got made. Well, not exclusively, but this is a it's a very unknown property. Neil Gaiman is popular in cult crowds, but not necessarily a big box office drawing by any means of the imagination. Good Omens has been in development hell since it came out as a book, and has only just had its series. I don't know if any of you watched it. I didn't watch it.
It is excellent. It is absolutely
really good.
excellent.
I really enjoyed it.
David Tennant and Michael Sheen, fantastic.
Yeah, they were really
fantastic chemistry.
And basically, Matthew Vaughn was very keen on having an unknown to play Tristan, which I think is an excellent choice. Obviously,
Charlie Cox. It's
what a man! And also, he's talented. Every
time I come on a podcast, I'm always just like, and the main character's fit.
And Henry Cavill in there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Henry Cavill with a mustache that's not CGI.
Yeah. You're so right, though. Charlie Cox is really, really talented. And I think he's perfect for the role of Tristan. Like, seriously, like, he pulls off the, like, little country boy, bumbling fool who doesn't quite know what he's doing. And then he gets his long flowing hair and he's really confident, he knows how to use his sword. And suddenly it's like, hello. Hiya.
Yeah, there was
right, what are you doing?
Matthew Vaughn, he cast him because they wanted Orlando Bloom or Ben Barnes, who played the young version of his dad.
Yeah, young Dorian Gray.
Yeah. But he was like, I want someone who can convincingly play a dork at the start and everybody believe him. And I'm
Ben
like,
Barnes
Orlando Bloom can't do that.
Ben Barnes is too attractive. Orlando Bloom is.
Have you seen him in season 2 of The Punisher when he's got all the scars over his face? He's not that attractive. It's very terrifying. Yeah.
He was. Totally.
I think Orlando Bloom would be good in this, actually. And I think he would be believable as the bumbling fool. From his extras performance, I can see that. However, there wouldn't be a moment in your mind where you didn't think by the end of this he's going to be Will Swan. What was the name of his? Will Turner.
Will Turner.
She was called Elizabeth
I feel
Swan.
like Elizabeth and Will. I feel like Will would have taken Elizabeth's last name.
She's a lawyer. She's keeping her name.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If Keira Knightley's in front of me and she went, "Take my last name," I'd be like, "Yes, I'll take any." You know.
There's no marriage or anything. It's just you're having my last name and I'm leaving you alone forever. Take it.
Just as a side note, Pirates of the Caribbean as a young child who hasn't discovered her sexuality yet was very confusing. Very, very confusing. Oh.
Yeah, it really was.
Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah, exactly. Jeffrey Rush, the Davy Jones. Oh.
Who was Davy? Who played Davy Jones under the
Bill Nighy.
Bill Nighy?
Yeah.
They did like a little Davy Jones little Easter egg post-credit scene at the end of the last one, and Bill Nighy didn't realize that they did that until a taxi driver asked him whether he was coming back for the 6th Pirates of the Caribbean film, and he was like, "What? Why would I do that?"
Oh, they just did CGI Davy Jones going.
They just did like a shadow and some barnacles and stuff, and
the CGI, because I watched Pirates of the Caribbean like quite recently. It was like 7 months ago. Anyway,
there's no concept of time anymore.
Literally, time doesn't exist anymore. But the CGI on Davy Jones is still really, really good. Like insanely good.
The CGI in Stardust, however, I think that there are a couple of moments, like a lot of it really works, but right at the start, those tiny elephants in the cage,
terrible,
is awful. It's so awful. It's like George Lucas came in and just sprinkled some in.
I hadn't
was-
seen Stardust in a very long time, and the minute I saw those elephants, I was very worried. I thought, oh no, is this just pure nostalgia for Katrina and Joe?
Well,
But it's not.
I was Googling it. I haven't read the book or the comic or whatever. I haven't read them. But apparently there's loads of mythical creatures in the books. So glad they left it out.
There's a lot less focus
So glad
on
they left it out.
in the books. Like the Septimus dies very early on. There's a lot less focus on the witches, and actually they don't even have names really. It's a lot more like based heavily on like traditional English folklore and fairy tales and nursery rhymes and things like that. But I think the adaptation was good. Like,
well, when we were talking about Pfeiffer and De Niro getting this movie made, that's another thing that comes with that, is that Captain Shakespeare's role grows and Michelle Pfeiffer becomes the lead witch instead of a coven.
Yeah.
And I mean, and also just an astounding ensemble of British talent on display. Every single bit role. It was like a game. I was like, oh, it's her from Brastoff. It's Mr. fucking Chuckles. It's it's every single person, including second sister witch, who's what do you call it? What's her name? I've forgotten her name already. There's a lot of like, oh, it's her.
It only took me like recently to realize that David Walliams is one of the ghosts.
Took me by surprise.
Like, but Mark Strong, and I said this in a tweet about a year ago, right? Okay, so Septimus, if Stardust had been made now with the exact same cast, but now, as in like everyone's the same age as they were then, but it was released now, Septimus, everyone would be so thirsty for him.
I think everybody's wasn't that a whole thing with Kingsman
I was.
too?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Wasn't that a whole thing with
Not
Kingsman?
my type.
Not your type. Can I just say
No,
now?
I mean, as in like the character, like you've got your Kylo Ren, like everyone everyone's after the dark bad boy with dark hair and he's emo and stuff like that. He's got a redemption arc.
How many Star Wars fans do you get on your podcast, Tom? Because can I just say that Raylo is disgustingly wrong. I'm
gonna be sick in my hand.
You really don't like Adam Driver, though, Katrina. So I feel like you're not coming at it from a plot point. You're coming at it from an objective thing.
I am coming at it from a plot point. I am coming at it as a plot point.
Yeah, that's
because, and the kiss at the end,
gross.
physically.
So
anyway, yeah, Adam Driver's face makes me physically uncomfortable. Sorry to Adam Driver.
I just don't know how it works, because some photos he looks really attractive, and I'm like, ooh, and then sometimes I'm like, ugh.
It just looks like someone was given a photo of someone that had like, like a newspaper and you accidentally got it wet. And then you were like, okay, now make that guy's face from Play-Doh. And you were making it. But because the paper was wet, it's like all warped. So you're like, oh, what the fuck? Where's his nose go?
Two things. One thing, back to Mark. Back to Adam Driver. We'll do Adam Driver and then I'll move on to back to Mark Strong.
We won't do Adam Driver.
We won't do Adam Driver. The only person who knows how to cast Adam Driver, and I say this facetiously because he's been in lots of other great movies, is Noah Baumbach. And it's not just Marriage Story. He's great in Francis Sarr as this just hipster prick who just hits on women and just gets lucky. And he plays the same version of that in While We're Young, where he's just a bitter, twisted, younger hipster type. And then he's also obviously great in Marriage Story. And I think Noah Baumbach knows that there is something a little bit off about him. It feels like those sort of people where you go, how the hell did he get her? Like, I felt a lot of people saying it's ridiculous that he's married to Scarlett Johansson. But to me, that felt really realistic.
She looked weird. She wasn't attractive in that film, though. They went...
She wasn't unattractive, Katrina.
No, but they literally were like, oh, your mum's haircut from like 2002, Katrina? Yeah, we'll stick it on Scarlett Johansson.
That's surprisingly accurate. Yeah, that's...
Back to
it's really
Mark
accurate
Strong.
for me. Like, seriously, it looks like my mum's haircut.
Really? Well, that is fascinating. Don't you think, Tertius?
Yes, indeed. Prince Septimus, Tertius, well, since you're all here, won't you join me in a toast?
What a very good idea.
To the new king of Stormhold, whichever of you fine fellows it might be.
the new king of Stormhold.
Back to Mark Strong. Everybody on their IMDb has, you know, fine pictures. I think Mark Strong might have the coolest picture on anybody's IMDb of all time. It's black and white. He's in a suit, wearing sunglasses, looking down.
He kind of
That's terrible for your IMDb because you don't know who's that.
Yeah.
He's just trying to play
he
it
looks a bit
discreet.
like a pickup artist. You know those YouTube pickup artists? He's like a 4-year-old.
The guys who like walk in front of a mirror and they're like, "Here's how you neg a woman into sleeping with you."
Literally, that's what he looks like. And he only smokes cigars, like, and he thinks he's Elon Musk. And no one wants that, so. But that's
except for Grimes. Except for Grimes.
Well, not to get off topic, but yeah, I was a big Grimes fan when I was like 16. Was.
You may as well be speaking Latin. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think me and Joe have the same cultural taste.
I feel like are we both as active on Twitter as each other?
Probably.
Yeah, you're not a Twitter person, are you, Tom?
I am. Well, no, I tweet sparingly, and I always tweet the links to the shows and the. Actually, my pinned tweet is great. My pinned tweet is really funny.
I feel really bad about this though, Tom, because
Katrina my pinned tweet's really funny. Forrest Gump is just 2.5 hours of "Hey, it's your cousin Marvin Berry," and Katrina put, "Bang a tweet. Thanks, Tom." But that's really funny. And I've only just realised, even though it's been up since the 20th of January, that I've actually typed it wrong, and it's "Hey, it's yo cousin Marvin Berry."
But not only that, but my response was "Bang a tweet, thanks, Tom," as if like a joke, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, you liked that one, didn't you?"
I did, and then I liked her tweet. It was a very sad encounter.
Sarcasm is so hard to convey through text. It's so difficult.
Did we all watch this in the cinema? I believe this was a birthday party for me.
No.
I didn't.
I had the exact same experience with Stardust that I had with Sliding Doors, in that my first ever experience of the film was a Daily Mail free DVD that we watched in France.
Wow.
And they're two of my favourite films. So they're two of my favourite films.
Yeah.
So clearly the Daily Mail are doing something.
Why did they stop doing giveaways like that? Like, remember when you could get like stuff in cereal boxes? Like full-blown books just in a cereal box?
The Daily Mail on Sunday movies. The Daily Mail on Sundays movies were like so infrequently, like, it was bizarre, the curation. Like, then and again, it'd be 40s movie that they clearly didn't have to pay for, black and white, week after week after week, which I enjoyed. And then suddenly it'd be like Glengarry Glen Ross or something, like a movie with Al Pacino and just everybody. And you'd go,
I do think I remember the first time I watched it though. Because I have such a vivid memory of it. Was like a friend's like holiday home, but not like a fancy holiday home. It was literally like on a farm, like an old farmhouse, and it was like tiled floor. And I remember the smell, and I remember the TV. It was a big TV, one of the fat back ones.
Oh,
and I just remember watching it and being like, okay, this is my favorite film ever. And I did the same with V for Vendetta and Sliding Doors. I watched them, all of them, in France in that living room, and they're still some of my favorite films.
I was going to say V for Vendetta you don't talk about often. Is that the one?
I do love V for Vendetta.
Oh, right.
I was the weird 8-year-old that was obsessed with V for Vendetta, and now do you understand why my political standpoints have been the way they have been for like my entire life? V for Vendetta was my it film. Literally, that was me going, "Oh, the government are terrible. Anarchy."
Get the
not,
masks.
I've been a socialist for life.
not a
I
huge
was like,
success. 70 to 85 million budget, made 140. So well, this is the thing. I wish
That's a loss, isn't it?
not a loss. It's 80 million budget, 146 million box office.
Yeah, but like they double the budget because they spend
Because of the
double on
marketing,
marketing. Yeah.
So yeah, well, that's the thing. Vaughan had an idea for Stardust 2, but the first film was not financially successful enough.
And I didn't want it. Not every film.
It doesn't
needs
need
a
us. They die at the end. Spoilers.
This
Sorry.
is true.
Yeah,
you know,
spoils for people watching a film podcast about a film they haven't seen.
we've spoken a good 10 minutes about it now.
This is an interesting thing though, because I googled it. I haven't read the books again. I googled it, and the ending to the book is different to the film. And when I was reading it, I was like,
He
"Oh, I
dies.
prefer the film's ending. I way prefer the film's ending." I
They
like
can't have children. They can't have children. They get married. They can't have children. He dies, and then she continues ruling alone forever.
It's like
Which
a
is so
bittersweet
depressing.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I
That is a
mean,
bit dire.
that's one way to end it, Neil. I'll give you that.
Well, I feel like, and also I presume there's not a big action fight, or am I wrong there?
Oh, I can't remember. It was a long time when I read it. I read the book before I saw the film, actually.
Oh, right.
The old primary school library, tearing through everything I could get my hands on. Not literally. I don't ruin books. And then I got the DVD.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Book hater. Yeah, when I googled it, there was like it said there wasn't like any of the fight scenes, and it wasn't as dramatic. But I think he's a great director of fight scenes, so I totally understand why he put that.
That was what he was like really sure. I think he was like talking to Neil Gaiman about it. He was like, I don't know how to do any of this romance stuff. Help me. And so he got Neil Gaiman suggested a screenwriter who could help him with it. And even then, that was the bit that was criticized most, I think, was the romance.
Which is dumb. I love the romance in this film.
Yeah. Just a boy, a star, and a magical horse.
Well, let's bring in our next person into this equation, Jane Golden, who is one of the just premier British writers, unspoken writers of our generation, really. You wouldn't immediately jump to it, but especially when it comes to adaptations, I feel like, for better or for worse, she is the go-to, and that is obviously from Matthew Vaughn, taking her under his, not taking her under his wing, but she writes Stardust, she writes Kick-Ass, she writes X-Men First Class, she writes Woman in Black, which was a gigantic hit. No matter what your opinion is, Joe, it was a gigantic hit.
The stage show is better.
Yes, but I forget. You forget how big that summer of Woman in Black was. That was huge. I don't know if that went worldwide, but in England
it did, I think.
Yeah.
So did she? So she also co-wrote Kick-Ass. That totally makes sense as to why. Because I've read the comic to Kick-Ass. That makes so in the comic to Kick-Ass, like the two, they don't end up together. It's way but it makes sense why in the adaptation, why the adaptation's a lot more romantic and they end up together.
And Kingsman, she writes both Kingsmans for him as well. She wrote the god-awful Rebecca 2020, and she also wrote Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which
I never saw that one. Wasn't she also? I swear I saw she was going to do she was one of the many people who were drafted in to do like a Game of Thrones spin-off or something as well.
She might have been.
When it was coming to an end, there was like loads of people. Wait, let me.
Yeah, you have a look at that. But I think she's frequently. I think there's been a better success rate than failure rate. I think, and she obviously does great work here.
I love romance.
Romance is great.
I'm so glad that she like, I just love, you know me, I'm a sucker for a love story. I really
Well, this
am.
is the thing. The other person we've got on for 3 picks, which I've already recorded them, and I won't spoil the movies yet, but 2 of them are like platonic romances, and it's like, oh, this is wonderful. And both of them, I was like, no, just get together. I know that platonic love is marvelous. I know that platonic love is great, but come on.
Yeah, Tom, Jesus.
Yeah, I always have that problem.
Love me.
I do love you, Katrina.
Oh.
My lifelong friend of 4 years.
4 years.
And me and you, Tom, the best of friends.
For less years. Let's get into what we do here. We do our little categories. YouTube comments. I wish I could watch it again for the first time. That was the best time. Back then, I was a dreamy teen, caught in daydreams, who believed in true and everlasting love. The movie fascinated me badly, and I really liked the not too brutal, shown, twists and turns, and the ending was surprising in some ways too. You really feel for the characters during their journey.
Why do I feel like that was written by you, Tom? And at the end, it was like, but now I don't believe in love.
Yeah.
Ah, that bitch. I'm kidding.
I have seen this movie 10 years before. It is a fantasy movie. Fairy, magician, demon, and very beautifully picturized.
Oh, I loved the fairy and magician parts.
That was a great review, honestly.
Did you not notice Penn and Teller in the background? We miss you, Charlie Cox. It would be great if we had Daredevil back. Were you Daredevil people? I know that Joe's diehard you as well.
Charlie Cox's Daredevil is honestly one of the best comic book performances I like ever. Like it is
He's sexy.
Plus that as well. But it is.
It's really good.
Just it blows my mind. Like that is the one of the Marvel Netflix series that I go back and revisit.
Yeah, you know what? My other one, Iron Fist. Damn.
It is a guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure.
It was bad, but I quite liked it.
I love them all, honestly. Luke Cage has a little. I wish it didn't. I wish none of them got cancelled. They all.
Daredevil though, Charlie Cox. That was sad. He's so good at this. He's so
Foggy
good.
Nelson. Well, he might be coming back. They've been speculating that they might bring him back for the She-Hulk series.
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Love Disney Plus.
Yeah, we do.
All about a Disney Plus.
That monopoly. Disney overlords, please hire me and cast me in one of your Marvel movies. Thanks.
I watched this movie when I was sick that other day, and I don't know why, but every time when I listen to that other day, and I don't know why, but every time when I listen to the song Animals by Maroon 5, it reminds me of Tristan. I don't know why.
When I listen to Maroon 5, I just think of that one fantasy film from 2007. Payphone. I'm like, wow, Tristan.
First 10-minute stretch. Katrina, this is your pick. Why don't you kick us off? I've got 5 nominations, so we'll see if we align, and we'll see what Joe's got.
Before we switch, can I just read some? I don't know how deeply you dive into Letterboxd reviews.
Oh shoot!
We
do have Katrina. I don't know what episode it is, but there is a future episode where Katrina basically makes this her own thing. From a certain point, there will be the Katrina Unit 1-star review. But for the sake of
however, Letterboxd is different. Letterboxd is different. So I think you should listen to some Letterboxd.
No, I will listen. I'm not going to say no.
He just ignores me. He puts me down. He wears the trousers or the red shorts.
I do wear red shorts.
I've only got the one. I just think this is This is a 4-star review. WTF? Gay little Robert De Niro. That's the whole review.
Oh my god!
4 stars.
That's so funny.
Thanks, Suri.
Should we do my 1-star reviews now? There isn't any.
It's a perfect film. There we go.
No, there's no 2 stars.
Okay.
The lowest we get is 3.
Oh, right.
A feel-good fantasy movie, though I didn't like the way Tristan forgot about his mother or how he left Yvain at the inn to meet Victoria. Sans that, it's watchable for someone who loves fantasy.
Both of those are explainable. Very explainable. Even though they're not explainable, which I will get to in What's the Chance.
Oh,
anyway.
Tom, you're going to hate this one.
Does it say something bad about Michelle?
Innovative. I think the movie is innovative. Anyway, that word. They tried to do a lot of new things never seen before. Robert De Niro ruins the movie in some aspects. Miscast.
he's not the character that ruins the movie for me, I would say.
Have you got a big?
But there is a character that ruins it.
Ooh, we'll get to what's the change.
Yeah, we'll
how
get
exciting.
to that.
No, I think. Well, that's another thing. I haven't watched it since I was a kid, and I was like, oh, I hope the De Niro stuff's not like dated or embarrassing or anything. And yeah, it's a bit camp, but it's not an outrageous caricature like say James Corden in The Prom or something. Something outrageously absurd. It's a little bit camp, but it's a really thoughtful portrayal in the script, and I think it's really well delicate.
It's pretty woke, if you ask me. There's no harmful stereotypes that are going into that. I should know. I just watched an hour-long Lindsay Ellis documentary about the history of transphobic stereotypes. Great YouTube video.
And did it show up?
Plug Lindsay Ellis. No, it didn't. A lot of
that's why.
A lot of Psycho, a lot of Silence of the Lambs, Dressed to Kill, and obviously. Why
do I know all of the transphobic
movies? It's annoying because they're all really good films, and that's why the stereotypes just leak on in.
Psycho isn't. Dressed to Kill's the worst one because it has that really weird, bizarre scene where she's just trying to explain it all in the diner in the restaurant, and she's like, I don't get it. Whereas Silence of the Lambs, I think, has multiple parts where Lecter, who in the chronology of the movie is the most intelligent man, explains how the pain and torture. Anyway, wonderful thing.
Sidetracked again.
But we'll get to De Niro, undoubtedly. Katrina, what are your nominations for Best 10-minute stretch?
I really enjoy the montage that starts when Tristan is back on the boat and he's got his long flowing hair, and the montage of like them being on the sky boat, I guess. The pirates, the sky pirates. Their boat, and like they're falling in love, and then there's the end bit where they're dancing and she's like glowing, and it's just so cute to watch, and everyone's like, oh my god, they're so in love, and she doesn't even know it yet. And I just love that bit, and they're like sword fighting, and you can see them getting better, and you're like, it feels like multiple months have passed, but this all takes place in the span of 1 week. This is a bit weird, but you kind of forget about it.
It's just very well
crafted. I think it makes them falling in love seem more believable, because you kind of forget that it's supposed to only be over a week, because you see like them actually like falling in love. Oh my god, I'm just thinking about them dancing again. It's so cute. Ooh, it gives me old little heart memories. I love it.
Yes, it's the Hungry Eyes montage of this film. Why did you roll your eyes at Dirty Dancing as if it's like... do you not like Dirty Dancing, Katrina?
I do, but I was just like... I don't know, this is better to me, it's cuter.
I guess. In this one, there isn't Penny stood there watching them dancing with dagger eyes the whole time. Any other nominations for 10 Minute Stretch, Katrina, or is that a pretty solid one for you?
That is my like favourite, I would say, but I quite like the when they get to the inn.
Yes.
And there's all, there's the whole like, oh my god, Tristan's outside, she's inside. Yeah. Oh my god, Michelle Pfeiffer's gonna knife her. Oh my god, the prince is there. Oh my god, the other prince is there.
When they were shooting that scene, they couldn't get everybody on set at the same time. So they used a lot of body doubles and really crafty over-the-shoulder shots.
You can't tell.
Yeah, it's incredible. I only found that out when I was just sort of scrolling through IMDb trivia, and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Oh my god, Tristan's gonna drink the poison.
No, but it's a horse. There's a horse. There's a unicorn.
And also, horse has done something
knocks it out his hand.
And also, Michelle Pfeiffer's fulfilling the our alternate universe world, where she takes the role of Basic Instinct. She takes the role of Catherine Tramell with the ice pick under the bed.
I just think it's so good. Like the suspense, you're on the edge of your seat every time, and then he's like, what is that? What are you wearing? And it's like, oh my god, if he gets it, that means he's the king. but obviously, he's not gonna.
Sadly, no.
Because they've got like an hour left of the film.
It's
But
just
it's
really
so
well
good.
structured.
And
Everything pays
Yeah.
off.
I really
another thing. Oh, sorry. I'll just say this, and then I love that they don't use red blood. I love that the blood is blue because it's a way to get round age restrictions, but also makes sense for the story because they're blue bloods. I love it.
Yeah, royalty. I like the segment just before she puts up the inn, where you've got the Septimus and the rune caster, and the when the music's just swelling and everybody is on the move. Like that is the stuff that it's juicy. It's not 10 minutes, but I can really sink my teeth into that.
Yeah, my favorite minute. Oh, spoiler is the bit where Septimus is like, "Is my favorite color blue?" And then he throws it up and goes, and then he's like, "Oh, what does that mean?" And he goes, "No." And he goes, "Okay, throw it up this time, but I want you to throw it real high." And then he asks the question midair. He's like, "Are you working for my brother?" And then they fall, and then he stabs him, and then he throws him up again, and then Michelle Pfeiffer catches them.
Such
so
a good
good.
transition.
So good.
There is a few weird moments where, even though I'm sure they could find a field anywhere, it looks like Michelle Pfeiffer CGI'd in from another world.
I don't think any of it was CGI. I think where did they shoot it? Like they shot it all in like all around England, but I don't think they used CGI backdrops for it.
I reckon there's a lot of island in there.
Scotland, a lot of Scotland.
Yeah,
and Isle of Skye,
tracks.
and some Iceland as well.
Oh, I guess there is the bits with the ice, where there's this random block of ice for the rune scene.
Yeah.
That was in Iceland.
Oh yeah, because they've like carried on going. I think it's east. They're like, "Oh, where do you want me to do? Do you want me to set off swimming now?" I'm like, how fucking big is this realm?
Just really in subtle things, in subtle locations, and lots of subtle choices. It just brings us into the
expansive universe.
Expanded universe. Not before expanded universes were a thing, but before every single movie was, oh my god, he's going to show it. Oh, it's Andy Serkis, and he's going to be in.
Remember
Black
the Dark
Panther.
Universe, guys? You ready for the Dark Universe? Oh, I've got
I love Tom Cruise.
We are big Tom Cruise stans, me and Katrina. We love
the
Tom
Mummy
Cruise.
though. But the Mummy.
Not the Mummy.
That's literally his worst film.
Maybe. No, it is.
The filmmakers had wanted to use more locations in Iceland, but were unable to get the horses that they needed. That's why they didn't shoot more in Iceland.
Oh, bloody horses!
Not enough horses.
Bjork, because
Bjork, so she's stolen them all.
any movie that is in Iceland and has a witch in the plot requires Bjork to be cast. I like swans. Actually, that is happening. The Northman, which is the new movie by Robert Eggers of The Witch and Lighthouse fame, it's going to have Bjork as a witch. I'm very, very excited. It's got Nicole Kidman.
Fun.
I'm very excited. It's got Alexander Skarsgård. I'm very excited. I don't need to say it after everything I say, but
It's
I'm
nice.
very
It really
excited.
shows that you're excited.
I am
That's good.
excited.
I think he's
I
excited.
appreciate
I think
that.
he's
And I
excited.
can't wait to see it in 5 years.
Hey, remember June? Do you remember June?
Gosh, don't even. Me and Jay did
Everyone
a
else's
podcast.
favourite 10-minute stretches.
This is true. Joe, do you have any nominations to 10-minute stretch?
Oh, that was that fast-paced.
Was
Everybody's
best,
searching
yeah.
with the runes and all of that.
I do
That
love the
is-
music in that bit.
And honestly, the final battle, just Septimus as a voodoo doll, like
Excellent.
that. Excellent, like just the fight choreography in it is just so good. With the little gaggle of hecklers as ghosts.
I love his actual death as well. Like dropping the voodoo doll in there and having him like float in the air, and he's drowning, but he's not. I think that's really cool. I like that bit.
Good magic.
For fear of another 20-minute tangent, when she dropped the thing, I thought, would this be better if it was actually Waters of Mars style, and he started gushing water, and he was like,
I don't know, because I like the music around that bit, and it's like there's literally nothing Tristan can do.
and it's maybe the best CGI in the film,
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
or at least
I
one of it works.
I don't know how much. I think probably the only CGI would have been for the hair. They probably just
Yeah, and
No,
he's
took
like,
him up on a wire.
They'll have probably put him in a green pool, and then they'll have got rid of everything else and just kept him.
Honestly, that probably would have been cheaper than the hair, because they spent like most of their CGI budget for Aquaman on CGI and the wet hair.
Yeah, I think they'd have just, especially because it's such a short scene, I think they'd have just put him in a pool and then keyed out everything else. That's what I'd do if I was making it.
Excellent. I also have the opening with Ben Barnes. I think it just brings us into the world very nicely.
Very good.
And
I love that she just picks him. She goes, "Yes,
yeah.
you. I'm going to have sex with you now." I like that no one's she isn't slut shamed either. They just have sex. Like the film doesn't go, yes, and then they were evil because they'd had premarital sex. Yeah, I mean, like it's just they just
in the books. In the books, his dad actually remarries and has another kid. He's got like a half sister.
I'm glad they did.
But you know, I like the fact that he is, you know, sad.
He's a one-woman guy. He's a one-woman guy.
He's like, I found my love. It was a great night in that yellow caravan.
Yeah,
good
and then they get
good
married again
only.
at the end, or at least they're together for the ceremony, which feels. I mean, I guess she's not been had a chance. Hey, well, no, maybe. I mean, if she's that open to go with him that first night, who knows if she hasn't been with other men.
There's not that many. I mean, we didn't really get to see much of the residents of Stormhold, but from what I could tell, it was either her own brothers, Robert De Niro, or
that random guy from the ending in. He was like asleep, and he was just like a dickhead.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something horribly inconvenient that's going to set you off. We're going to get to that later. Don't get me started. There's no excuses for that. I'm sorry.
Stop. You go through there, you'll die. What? If you set foot on human soil, you'll turn to rock. Wretched slattern! Where have you taken me?
Planning to enter war, were you? If death is what you wish, my dear, I'd be more than happy to assist you.
Are you talking to me?
Ah, you. Small world. Anyhow, no, I wasn't. I was talking to the star.
What star? My slave girl's no star. Any fool can see that. If she was, I'd have had the art out of her chest a long time ago. Trust me.
Trust you, not a mistake I'd be likely to make again. What's it to be, Ditchwater Sal? Heads or tails?
And also, I really enjoy Sienna Miller in this film. I think she's wonderful as that sort of, typical, more perfect. You know what really, really works? Because this is my biggest flaw in all rom-com movies. And which got discussed actually on About Time. The amount of times, and Teen Wolf is the worst example. You watch Teen Wolf, and there is no way in hell that you want him to get with his best friend. That blonde woman is an absolute knockout, and she is so into him. It's insane. And I remember as a small child going, why are you going with your worst friend? However, even though Sienna Miller is one of the most beautiful women ever, I have no issue with him being with Claire Danes, which is usually one of my biggest
because she's
crimes.
a horrible person.
Yeah, but that's never affected me before. About Time, I remember going, there's no way he's not taking up that Margot Robbie one-night stand and then just going in a closet and backwards timing. There's no way that's not happening. Come on.
I really changed my opinion of you as a person because of that.
You did. It got dark. It was like therapy.
It's like really disgusted in him. But yeah, no, and I love, you know what? I love Yvain. I think she's great. I really like her. I think she's like, but I think I stole a lot of her personality and the fact that
she's very relatable.
She's quite sarcastic. Yeah.
She likes to nap during the day.
Yeah. I think it would be so easy for a writer or a director or a performer to go, she's a star. And she's, and do the whole fish out of water thing where she's just beautiful and floating and, oh, I'm over here now. But no, she's very relatable. She's as funny and witty as just
cold ass bitch actually in some parts. And you know what? I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
But
Good.
it's right. If some guy came up to you and was like, I'm taking you back to this girl I'm in love with, and I'm just going to steal you and literally kidnap you, essentially, and force you by rope to follow me. And then I'm going to tie you up to this tree. I would also be really mean to him.
You forgot the worst part of crash landing on her and going, "Mother."
Oh yeah,
Mother.
I love that bit.
But that does have a great payoff.
I love that he calls it like a babbling candle. Babbling candle. She goes, babbling candle. He goes, yeah, babbling candle.
I was very in the years since watching Stardust for the first time. I've grown to dislike Claire Danes quite a lot. So I was quite surprised by how much I did like her on this rewatch, because I don't like her as Juliet really. I'm not a big Homeland guy, and I think she's pretty bad in Home for the Holidays. So I went into this going, oh no, I'm not going to like the lead female. I'm not going to like the lead love interest. But I did like her a lot.
The only thing I don't like about her, I've got this weird thing where I don't like, why are her eyebrows so blonde? Like they're blonde. You can't even see them. Maybe
I
I'm just.
guess that's just
I mean, she's a star.
thing.
They don't have cosmetic industry up there.
God, get yourself an elf micro pencil and do your brows, love. Seriously, tint them a bit or something.
Tom's Midler's specific favourite parts of the film: the cheek kiss. Well, no, not the cheek kiss. The cheek, and then she kisses him. That's just delightful. The Michelle reveal. I mean, they know what they've got with Michelle Pfeiffer. And
what
her looking over her shoulder and winking, and just admiring. You just remembered one.
I just remembered. One of my favourite comedic bits of this entire film, and every time I watch it, I have to rewatch this one bit. So it's when Robert De Niro's character is cutting Tristan's hair.
Okay, it's really getting you.
And it's really short, and then suddenly it's like
suddenly it's really long.
And he's like. It's so funny. Every time I watch it, that bit makes me laugh so much. Because he's just like, what the hell?
And there's no exposition where he's like, this is my longer brush. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen.
Just magic scissors. That's what they
It's
say.
like this. And the way Charlie Cox's face is just like, what? It's so
lovely,
funny.
just great set design, lovely little things like the pub sign being a cat, just very delightful things. I mean, the best, I think the best part of that final battle, as we talked about, is those sort of heckling ghosts and them all going, sister, going, yay! And that sort of audience surrogate thing is delightful. I think my favorite De Niro part would have to be, well, what do stars do best? Well, clearly not the waltz. Just very funny and savage and delightful.
Yeah.
I like his haggling. I like the haggling. I like
What's haggling?
Where he was negotiating the sale.
Oh yeah,
of the
sorry,
lightning.
yes.
I like the. I
Why
love.
did I forget what haggling was?
I love a good bit of numerical banter.
Yeah, I thought that bit was really good. In fact, I also like when Septimus is aboard and he's roughing him up, and then all his crew come in. And what does that guy say? He's like,
I always knew you were a whoopsie.
It's like, you're still our captain.
It's just so funny. I love that bit.
It's
I'm not sure if that'd be in a film if it was made now, but
Probably not.
It was great.
I think it's harmless, mostly, you know.
Yeah,
and there's
I think,
nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty harmless.
Oh, so funny. There's so many. This film is funny.
It's very
this film
funny.
is so funny.
It's like
I'm
knockout.
rewatching it as an adult. There's jokes I didn't get the first
The best
time I
joke
watched
is when at the pub and Charlie Cox is in the stable and he gets given that glass of wine and he goes, "What's your name?" Bernard.
Bernard. Just like Bernard looking down at his boobs, girl.
Yeah.
That bit's
It's
really
just
good.
classic. Every single Body Switch movie has the moment where they go, "I have boobs now," and they all have them.
I also like the bit where is it Billy where he's like charging and then he gets
Then he's a
back
dead
into a
goat.
goat.
And he just flops down so hard. And there's no, like, in like War of the Roses, when there's the possible threat that the dog's dead, like Danny DeVito had to put in later a shot of the dog outside. No, there's none of this here. That is the last time we see the goat. The last time we see the goat is flat dead.
oh
great.
god, it's so
Perfect.
dead. I also like the Succession bit where they're looking out and he's like, "What?
Pushes it.
Look out that window. What do you see?"
The Kingdom Father.
The delightful
kingdom?
Rupert
And
Everett.
it's my kingdom.
It only it's only been very recently that I realised that his name is Secundus, as in second, and not Sir Cundus.
Well, they're
Because-
all like Primus,
Primus, Secundus, Tertius, Quadrus,
Peter
Quintus. Peter O'Toole is the daddy, and also their father.
Septimus, and then
Septimus.
Una.
Una, yeah.
Yes.
But
After-
I think that all the dead brothers are quite funny.
Oh yeah.
I love the SFX, the makeup
Mm.
on them all and how they've all died in
Mm.
different ways.
Did they get away with it being so graphic because they were like white and we didn't really see anything? Because they're pretty graphic. For I guess it's cartoon violence. That's always a way that people
Yeah.
can get
Well,
around stuff
like
for
I
a
was
PG.
saying, the blood being blue is a
Mm.
way they'll have got past like age restrictions because it isn't red blood, so it's
Yeah.
like take it what you want.
Like, it's just blue juice.
Yeah.
Well, it's like in
Yeah.
Kill Bill when he has to, in the Crazy 88 fight, he has to go to black and white halfway through because they wouldn't like, because it's so graphic and so bloody. Which I don't, well, we'll do Kill Bill eventually, but I don't think I like the black and white. But anyway, we'll get to that
I
eventually.
suppose my favorite like romantic bit.
Mhm.
Actually, there's multiple. I bloody love a romance. Oh my god, I like the bit where I love the bit where she's like, I know about that. That is like one of the things that made like, looking down on Earth more tolerable. And then she's like, "Oh, you can't even hear anything because you're a mouse." And then afterwards, when he's like passed out in the bed and he wakes up, she's in the bed, by the way, and he's just like, "Oh, hello."
Hello. The bath.
Hello.
There is a lot of bath stuff in this. Michelle
There really
Pfeiffer
is.
just gladly, fully looking up and down and going, "Ooh, how's your leg?" And she's just fully looking at her. And then, man from Jason Fleming,
Jason Fleming.
him in the bath, and he's probably fully out and going, "Come over here." And then
Full on cock out.
it's the bit when it's the bit with Claire Danes and Charlie Cox where he pops through the thing and he goes, "Hello."
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about because like that's after he's passed out
Yeah.
from being turned back from a mouse to a human, and he's passed out, and then there's that bit where they talk and then they clearly get it.
Weirdly get it on. Are you not into that?
No, clearly get it
Oh,
on.
clearly get it on. I thought
Yeah.
you said weirdly. I thought, no, I'm fully in.
They-
I
they
thought-
Now
actually-
clearly getting
The
it.
the scene where he wakes up and they like talk and whatever after
Yeah,
they've
it's so
had
sweet.
it is so
I love
sweet,
it.
but his shirt is CGI.
What?
His
He's got a
shirt
lot of
is
chest hair, does Charlie?
they shot it without a shirt and they thought, hang on a minute, Charlie Cox without a shirt on, that's too much. Keep it
But
in your pants. They
my-
CGI'd one on.
I just think that their interactions, especially when they know they're both in love with each other, are so sweet. And I love the ending. And I love when she grabs him at the very end and she's like, "What do stars do best? They shine." Oh,
And the music,
Well,
beautiful.
there we go.
and then Michelle
Soundtrack.
Pfeiffer's evaporated.
And then it ends so rapidly. There's the "You're the Last King of Stormhold," and then it's very much there's no like
You
full action. There is very
lied.
much. Oh yeah, there's. I still can't believe that Take That wrote that song.
Yeah.
Well, this
because
is
they
the thing.
saw an
Our
early cut
next-
of the film.
Yeah. Our next thing is Soundtrack Corner. And this is another thing that was big, I feel. See, am I completely remembering this wrong? Because I was a Take That household. Like, I remember Stardust being like the film that swept England for a summer. Like, that song was everywhere. This film was everywhere.
The song was everywhere. I remember the song being everywhere. But I don't think I'll have watched the film till like a year later. And if it's in a Daily Mail free DVD...
I mean, it's kind of like, what was that? Because the song blew up and everybody knew it. And it's kind of like what happened with Aragon and Avril Lavigne's Keep Holding On.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, that song was like, I don't think anybody connects it to the movie Aragon.
No.
I certainly don't, because I tried to forget about Aragon, to be honest.
Yeah. I reread the books recently and they don't hold up, sadly.
But
Sorry, Christopher Paolini.
The music in Stardust, especially in like the romantic bits, it's got like swelling. It's like really like, oh, they're so good. Especially that bit where she's like, where's Stardust supposed to shine? It's like, wow, oh my god, I've got bloody goosebumps. You know what I mean? Like watching it, and then like the bit where they're all racing around looking for it. Like that music is really tense. It's really great. It's like, wow, this is great. I'm on the edge of my seat.
It definitely like it has got all of the stuff that it needs from like loads of different like fantasy adventure films, and just like gives you those things as like a supplement to everything you're seeing. It's fun fact though that Septimus's theme is written in 7/8 time.
Oh, that's cool.
That's just a nice little cool little musical detail that nobody noticed, and I found out because I looked up.
Somebody might have noticed in the cinema.
Yeah.
Might have gone, I know that tone.
I just think one of my favorite things about this film though is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. Do you know what I mean?
There's no pacing issues, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's always funny. It's not. There's no shame in being romantic, and it's dramatic when it needs to be. These are literally the reasons why it works.
And I feel like actually there isn't any wasted moments in this film.
No.
Even bits that feel like a waste aren't wasted.
Yeah.
Like Dishwater Sat, whatever her name is, where you could argue that their conversation, and then she's like, you will not touch the star, you will not see the star. That bit, you think, oh, the mouse bit, that feels like, but actually it all...
Everything pays off.
The bit where they're
so
bartering
refreshing.
The bit where they're bartering for the lightning makes sense. They have to have it in more of a lightning form for him to have it, and then you're like, well, that's stupid that he's got that crappy lightning stuff. Wait, no, he uses it at the end to bash her about. Everything that is connected.
I think that's why it ends so nicely as well. Like everything, like everything has a setup and a payoff, and then it all pays off by the end, and there's nothing really to go, here's a loose end that we have to tie up. It's just done. Sorted.
Well, this is the thing, what you were talking about with it being before the age of franchises. And thank God this movie doesn't have a wink wink, some possibility. And thank God it wasn't, not thank God it wasn't financially successful. Actually, I'm fine with it not being financially successful because Matthew Vaughn still got a career. If Matthew Vaughn didn't have a career, then I would go, why didn't this make more money? But I'm quite happy.
Would you? Or would you? Because you wouldn't know what you would have been missing out on.
I think I would be lamenting Promise. I think if we ended, because I also like Layer Cake. I think Layer Cake is a great movie.
That's a good film.
Great Craig and great Sienna Miller. Best single minute. I think we've more or less hit a lot of them. These are my nominations to see if we've missed anything. I love Peter O'Toole as the king, and that introduction to the ghosts and all of that. As you were saying, Katrina, everything is interesting, everything is intriguing, everything is funny or dramatic or romantic. There isn't one thing that isn't one of those things. And yeah, there's nothing. I greatly enjoy a large ensemble cast, and I love seeing lots and lots of faces. I will eventually be a struggling actor, and I will maybe not like that, and I'll go, why couldn't this have been an actor that we didn't know? But until that point, I would gladly have names in every role.
I just like seeing Jason Fleming. I just like seeing Jason Fleming get work. I think he's underrated. I think he deserves more. He's always the sort of a small side part in a larger film.
He's in Kick-Ass as well, isn't he?
Jason Fleming.
I know that Mark Strong's the villain.
No, I know he is, but I swear I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I always pictured him in Kick-Ass, but I think I'm wrong. I don't know why.
He just sort of appears everywhere.
Kick-Ass. He is in Kick-Ass.
Oh, is he?
It's one of the Mark Strong's.
I was going to one of Mark
Oh
Strong's.
yeah.
I knew I was wrong.
Kick-Ass. I need to rewatch that.
I need to watch Kick-Ass, and I hope.
Especially now they referenced it in One Division. What a show!
Madmen.
Hey Tom, have you tried watching something new?
No. Every time I watch something new, it disappoints me. I guess it's...
Shall we end it there?
Best line. I mean, this.
Oh, I've got two.
Shoot.
I have. So I love. You want to grow up and get over yourself, and then he drops her. That's great. And
very brutal.
It's so good. It's so perfect. I remember first watching it and being like, "Oh no, why?" But what about Yvain? And then he hits me with that curveball. And also another Tristan to Victoria. I'd go to the Arctic and slaughter a polar bear and bring you back its head.
A polar bear?
Perfect. Absolutely, exactly how I'm going to be flirting as soon as lockdown ends. Because I have no idea how to interact with people anymore.
Katrina?
Good.
I don't. I did say it already. There's a bit where it's like you've got a Babylon candle. Yeah, I have a bubbling candle. A Babylon candle. That's what I said. You said bubbling. I don't know why, but that bit always used to make me laugh.
It's just a great, what we think is a throwaway line at the start, like trying to explain away. Again, even the throwaway lines that you think are like, what do you call it? Like trying to explain away something that doesn't make sense. Eventually pay off. Like, I can't believe your crew fell for that. And where in God's name did you get that mannequin? The first time you watch it, it feels like they're just trying to explain away the absurdity of him having a mannequin. But no, it of course has an excellent payoff.
Crackling, very much alive, still tray fresh. So, name your best price.
For 10,000 bolts.
10,000 bolts of finest quality grade A.
Yeah, but it's difficult to shift and it's difficult to store. If I get the revenue men in there sniffing around, what's the... best price, 150 guineas.
Gentlemen, put the merchandise back on board and prepare to sail.
Oh,
Always a pleasure.
hold on. 1 minute. Hold on, Cuddles. 160.
Seeing as I'm feeling particularly generous today, I'll settle for 200.
200? Okay. You're having a laugh. Have you had your head in that? Has he been saying that where the air's too thin?
You're being very rude.
Not anymore.
200.
180.
200.
That's not negotiation. I'm changing my number. 185.
Did I hear 200?
From you did, yeah.
You said 200.
If I did, you're a ventriloquist. Okay, 195, final offer.
195 it is. So with sales tax, that's, let's see, 200.
Brilliant. Put it in the back.
Oh, it's wonderful.
There's a bit, sorry, because I was like, obviously, there's a bit where when she's telling Tristan she's in love with him, there's a throwaway line where she's like, oh, I feel like my heart isn't even mine anymore and it's yours. Oh, that blew my mind when I was rewatching it this time. I never noticed that before. The fact that she quite literally says that her heart it is. Oh my god, I was like, it's cute.
We've not talked about McKellen yet. Ian McKellen narrates this lovely story. Just again,
how much does he actually do? Because I always end up, I notice him at the start and I notice him at the end. But honestly, during the film, there's not. I don't know if he does. I don't notice him.
It's sparing. There's a lot during the first half hour. And then it disappears, which I usually say is a bad choice because it makes everything uneven. But I actually think it's a good choice here because it would not necessarily get in the way of... but it's in the first half hour, it's explaining everything because we're jumping around a lot. But in the next hour and 20 minutes... you don't need to explain everything because we're watching it and it works tremendously well.
And everything falls nicely into place already.
It does. But let's get negative. What's the change? We talked about the CGI. I've got here, is it does it work that De Niro's the only person doing an American accent? Because Michelle, at least, does this wonderful affectation.
I think so. I
really
think
noticed that.
She's doing
No, I mean,
something.
I never noticed that he was the only one with an American accent.
Oh,
That never really was like.
Oh, it's not glaring. I think it's.
I think it works because he's a pirate.
Yeah.
I think not that I'm saying Americans are pirates, but like that there is that sort of like more sort of a stronger accent that sort of comes with this idea of
And
piracy.
maybe he spent like a few years in New York.
Yeah.
Doing something.
Oh, go on.
I never thought about it. I've never really thought about the fact that he's the only American. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Mark Strong has a terrible entrance plan when he's like, okay, follow after me. Maybe, I mean, it's not really that because it makes sense because he's arrogant and he's a fighter, but just barging in and just there's just nothing.
But honestly,
no strategy.
He's the really sneaky one. He's the sneaky boy. So honestly, that's a pretty valid complaint that he wouldn't just go in. Maybe if it was Secundus.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that one's an idiot.
That one's an idiot. I love Michelle Pfeiffer going sad witch, and then it doesn't matter. My sisters are all dead, and she does great work there. I think actually, and then the bad witch twist, which I think is quite believable. Quite shocking, but also doesn't make any sense other than to milk a bit more tension out.
I mean, in the book, she doesn't actually. She has a like that's how it ends. She doesn't die. She turns against the rest of her coven and lets them go, and is like, "Oh, don't give your heart to a man. Like you would have been better off giving it to her because a man will just giving it to us because a man will just break it. But I'm not going to do anything about it now." That's sort of how the witch's storyline kind of ends in the book. So it might be an homage to that. Or maybe, I don't know, the way I saw it was that she was just trying to get Yvain's heart pumping again with joy.
Yeah,
possibly. But then she's not subtle about her. But then she immediately would break that joy because she's like, and also the hotel message is absolute bullshit. He's going into town because he's realised who he's fallen in love with. Fuck off. Now the question is,
why didn't Tristan write it down?
Well, that's the thing.
Can he write?
Actually, can stars read?
I was about to ask if Tristan could write.
Yeah, because he asked for a pen and paper, and he's like, "I submit a reasonable hour."
Oh yeah, of course.
And
he's just like, I'm going to
whether or not-
intentionally misconvey what I'm saying. But also, Tristan, why didn't Tristan just say, wake her up and go, just going to take this to Victoria.
No, I need to cut your hair.
Wake up, babe, I'm doing your hair.
I'll be right back. I'm in love with you. Don't love her. I'll be back in like, I don't know, half an hour.
And then him and Henry Cavill elope.
Well, the question is, did he say to the hotel guy that exact thing, or did the hotel guy get it wrong?
I feel like the hotel guy paraphrased
so ambiguous. It's just so blatantly milking of tension.
I think that the hotel guy is supposed to be like a drunk, so I think
Yeah.
Maybe he was like, oh, let's add a bit of tension.
So show him like, oh yeah, I've got that message. I get it. Yeah, sure. And then he falls back asleep. Just show. It'd be so there'd be so many simple ways to make it work because it is the only thing.
But then you wouldn't have the really cool shot of Tristan running back.
Yeah, down through those trees.
She can't go through the wall. And also,
that guy can run.
He
looks good in it. He can run. You wouldn't have the bit of her like walking towards it, and you wouldn't have like Una going shit, and then she's like,
that's good.
Yeah,
taking over. The best bit is when Una and Ditchwater Sal get there, and then Una's talking to Yvain, and Ditchwater's like, "Why'd you bring me out here? Who are you talking to? I can't bloody see anybody."
Are you talking to me?
We wouldn't have that really cool shot of like the handkerchief, and she's like, "Oh, you just got me dust or whatever," and it falls, and then he's like running. You want to have that, and I love that bit. It's just like,
great shot.
Katrina, any
Stardust, isn't it?
It is Stardust, and she winks at the camera, which I thought was distracting. Katrina, have you got any changes?
Vane's eyebrows, man.
You are big on this. Joe, any changes?
I don't like Ricky Gervais.
Oh yeah,
Don't
agreed.
you?
So
No, I'm
just not a fan of Ricky Gervais. And
full stop, or in this?
Full stop,
Oh, right,
and
okay.
also in this. I think, I think his like ad-libbing.
It's so clearly ad-libbing when everything else is a script. It's obnoxious.
Was not good. I think there was somebody else who he wanted, but then.
you know who'd have been funny in that
Vinnie
role?
Jones. Vinnie Jones. They offered it to Vinnie Jones.
Oh my god.
Which
You know
I
who'd been
think would have
funny
been.
in that role. Bob Mortimer. I'd love to
Oh,
see
that
Bob
would have been
Mortimer.
great.
Any of the interchange, they're not interchangeable. I know them both and I love them both. Any of the interchangeable four of Vic Reeves, Bob Mortimer, Paul Whitehouse, and Harry Enfield.
Yeah, any of them would have been. But I don't know. I don't think Ricky Gervais is a very good actor. a lot of the time.
I
have to disagree.
I don't think he's a very good writer either.
Oh well, I have to disagree. I think Extras, The Office, and the
Extras is good. I like Extras, and I like Afterlife. But for some reason, I don't think he's good in this.
I did not like
acting.
Afterlife. I really did not like Afterlife.
It was okay. I was a bit I hated
there were
him.
points where I was getting to enjoy it, and then Ricky Gervais would do a little monologue where he would monologue his entire feelings and sort of be wanky about it.
Does anyone remember that bit where he like directly caused someone's death, and it just that bit was so.
Oh, with the heroin addict, where he gives him money to get the heroin,
and he just fucking.
And that's like the second episode.
It is. Ugh.
What the fuck was he thinking with that? I was like, and everyone was like, "Wow, it's amazing." I was like, "He just fucking murdered someone. He just committed manslaughter."
I guess.
I don't find it funny in this.
I think Extras is the best. Extras.
Yeah, I think that's probably that's honestly my biggest complaint. I've got like minor plot contrivances and all of that, but no, just swap Ricky Gervais out with.
How did
somebody
Una?
else.
How the hell did Una manage to get kidnapped by a witch? That's never explained. I wish that had been explained.
Does it need to be explained though?
Well, that's the thing. They can't explain it because it's not a twist. However, for rewatchers, it is a big thing of like.
Maybe it just needs a little appendix at the end. Just
you're telling me this is like literally like the princess of the nation, and no one goes, it's funny. She looks a little bit like all them pictures of that woman, that princess that went missing.
I think you need.
And they've scoured everywhere looking for her.
I think you need a queen character. A queen character to be like, oh, my daughter's back. I remember that time when you got kidnapped by a witch. I guess that would be terrible. However, I do have faith in Jane Goldman as a screenwriter. I think she could have maybe done a subtle exposition throughout. Because also, it is only a throwaway line from Peter O'Toole. Like, if you are not keeping close attention, or in the back of your mind, you're not watching it going, that's odd.
I mean,
that
she literally says right at the start when she meets Ben Barnes, she's like, "I'm a princess who's been trapped by this witch.
Yeah, but
I'll only be free."
Why?
Do we need to know? Why is the world flat? Why is the world flat? We'll never know.
I would just like to know. That is my one complaint. I would like to know why Una is in the predicament she's in.
That's
and also
what I would
why
like
she
is at the end a montage of all the other brothers dying.
Oh, that'd be good. This does need a credits with faces. I very much enjoy credits with faces. We have discussed the alternate ending of the book that we do have, which would be the book. Let's talk about a few fun facts. Michelle Pfeiffer was Matthew Vaughan's only choice for the role of the Witch Queen. He had been a die-hard fan of hers since Grease 2. Couldn't agree more, Matthew. Excellent choice. Yes, we talked about Orlando Bloom. However, with De Niro, Pfeiffer, and Danes in the movie, they could cast an unknown, which was Charlie Cox. Terry Gilliam was actually offered the directing job, which is understandable, I think, in the visual tone, the comedic tone. However, he declined because he had just finished The Brothers Grimm and wanted a break from fairy tales. Robert De Niro accepted the role due to his regret at turning down what role?
It was Barbosa.
This is the quiz.
It was
It was Barbosa, yeah. I don't think Robert De Niro would have made a good Barbosa.
No.
I think Jeffrey Rush is
I think
perfect.
this works out very well.
That first Pirates of the Caribbean, the first three are so good.
They do steadily. The Pirates of the Caribbean films start perfect. The first one is amazing, and they do. There is a declining quality that gets steeper the further you go on.
I feel like the recent, very, 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 very complicated, but also not complicated stories surrounding Johnny Depp in the past 10 years has, I think, delayed a re-respect for those first Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Because I feel like we're in a generation now.
I see a lot about the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, she looks so good in that first one. Oh no, actually, she looks the best. She looks the best when she's in like the Chinese.
Oh, sorry.
The Chinese.
Oh, in At World's End, when they're in Singapore. Yeah, that's good.
Here are 4 possibilities for Yvain. See if you prefer any of these. Anne Hathaway?
No.
ScarJo?
No.
No.
Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yes.
I love
I'm a big Sarah Michelle Gellar fan.
Yes.
I recently just watched Cruel Intentions for the first time. Great. Very dated. And you sort of have to turn your head and go.
I've never seen Buffy, but I love Scooby Doo.
Yeah. Both Scooby-Doo films great, but Buffy, get on that.
I'm a big Freddie Prinze Jr. fan as well.
Yeah.
And I love them two
Very
together.
underrated. They are a great.
He was.
He's a brilliant voice actor, by the way. Freddie Prinze Jr. For anyone that doesn't play video games, he is a great voice actor in Dragon Age Inquisition. I had no idea it was him. He plays a character, and you have no idea it's him because it doesn't sound like him. He's an excellent.
He was in Marvel Comics. They wrote him in as a character in one of the Ultimate Universes where he starts dating the Hulk's ex, and the Hulk just wants to kill him. It's one of the weirdest storylines ever. I don't know why he.
I don't know. Yeah. The tagline rundown: "Love is magic." Terrible. That's just so bland. That's very bland. This summer, a star falls. The chase begins. Fine.
Dude. Which one is it? Is it the Beast? The Vixen?
The amount of times that people tell me, "Did you know that he's called the Beast because his name's Mark Lebet?" And I go, "Yeah, I get it."
But did you know that he was also married to his cousin?
Yeah, and she was like 26 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Gross.
And if anybody's going to fuck my cousin, it's going to be me. The fairy tale that won't behave. That was basically the tagline for Shrek, wasn't it? I'm going to Google now the tagline for Shrek.
Was that the Stardust tagline or the parody one?
No, that was the Stardust parody. Oh. The Stardust tagline. No, sorry. These are the 4 taglines for Shrek 2001. It's cool. It's big. Not explaining what it is. And the prince isn't charming. The princess isn't sleeping. The sidekick isn't helping. The ogre is the hero. Fairy tales will never be the same again. And then the one that I forgot, the one that I was remembering, which is the greatest fairy tale never told.
I quite like It's Cool. I think
I like It's
cool.
Big. I like It's Big.
I know, Tom.
Is there a way that only Stardust taglines though?
Well, according to IMDb.
I'd have picked something like "What's Beyond the Wall" or something like that, or like a reference to the fact that there's a wall. Or
yeah, but then that'd be really good for a teaser poster where it's just the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm coming
And
up with a whole marketing campaign for Stardust now.
Just a few little glimpses
Star
of
is
things through
born.
the stars. Oh, that'd
Without
be yeah.
without Lady Gaga.
Something or like something like, what do stars do best?
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense until you've watched it.
Neither does.
It's a good question.
Neither does.
It's big.
Cool.
No, because you see his big thumb and you're like, okay, I'm in. This guy is cool.
I'm sold.
Tom's big question. I'm going to fuel your two lusts. Short hair or long hair?
On Charlie.
Yeah, no, just in general. Let's just open it up. Charlie Cox.
On Tristan. Well, see, I don't know, because his hair is like a character in itself. In that, when it's short, he's the bumbling fool, English fool. When it's long, he's confident and like suave and like so much more sure of him. Okay, yeah, actually long hair, because like he's got that whole like got the whole like, oh, I'm cocky. Well, he kind of has that when it's short, but it's like he's really like, I'm cocky. I'm not actually arrogant about it. I'm just kind of like sexy about it.
Well, he does the Indiana Jones with the sword. He's like,
yeah.
And doesn't get shot.
No. Oh, sorry. Go on, Joe.
I actually disagree. I would go for short hair.
Ooh.
Just because I think what is drawing me to long hair Charlie Cox is not the hair, but the frock coat.
I quite like his exposed chest hair too.
Yeah, I think it's the whole ensemble as opposed to the hair. And I think if he had that fit and the short hair, I'd be.
I don't know. The short hair's a bit funny though, because it's like
Angly.
It's like that. It's like
Exactly. It's got its little quirks. I know.
Nah, I like the long hair. I think I like the long hair because of like what it means for his character. And
He got touched by Robert De Niro's magic scissors.
Yeah, I actually prefer when it's really long and unstyled.
Oh no, that like Samson hair. That is beautiful.
God, it just looks so like, I don't know. I think Charlie Cox is a great face. Like his facial expressions are like absolutely brilliant.
What's Charlie Cox doing now? I know you were on about possibilities for She-Hulk.
I did see a letterbox review. I did see actually. I couldn't find it just then, but one that I did see was, it's weird to see Charlie Cox making eye contact with people in this movie.
My Wi-Fi is not working, but it is obviously working because this is Zoom. But it's not working on my. It's not working on my.
Actually, it hasn't really done that much, other than like.
He was in. He's got a. Oh no, that's for 2019. Yeah, that's what it was in. King of Thieves, with Michael Caine and Jim Broadbent and Tom Courtenay and Ray Winston. Me and my ex had an argument, and we thought, what should we do to pass the time on a Sunday? Let's go watch a movie so we don't need to talk for 2 hours. And we were pleasantly surprised by King of Thieves, and we had a lovely meal, and then everything was fine again for the next 9 months, and then.
Right, okay.
If King of Thieves was out again, then
Tom,
she wouldn't
I want to
have
hear the
left.
story again.
No one wants to hear the story.
I should have bought a King of Thieves on Blu-ray.
I love this story. It's fantastic.
I would love to see him in more stuff.
Oh yes, he would be great.
He has 2 kids.
Good on him. With who?
Samantha
with his wife.
Thomas.
With his
Who's
wife.
that? Would I know them?
Executive Vice President of Brom TV.
Oh.
And Brom TV is a Canadian motion picture company.
That's
It's
boring.
most
I
notable.
like famous couples.
I found one photo of it, but then all the other stuff is bringing up Elliot.
It produced Joker.
Elliot Page and his girlfriend. So I don't know who.
Right.
I don't know who. I mean,
Did they
I guess
maybe have a relationship in the past?
No, it's a different woman. I guess his girlfriend was also called Samantha.
Oh, right. Intriguing. On that note, Joe, your first time with us for your first film. It's only downhill from here. What's any final thoughts on Stardust? Because I'm quite flabbergasted that this is underrated. This is my biggest shock.
I think that everybody who hasn't seen it should see it. And if you haven't seen it before watching this episode and you're getting to this point, then sorry, we spoiled a lot. But just appreciate just the pure joy. It is a film that is pure fun, and like there's nothing that you can sit there and go, oh, I'm not going to enjoy this.
Yeah,
it's impossible. It's impossible to not enjoy it. That's my hot take. Even if you're like a horrible meanie who hates the pleasure of other people.
Yeah, I'm like
that wrong.
so miserable when it comes to films. Apart from movies I like, and I hadn't seen this in a long time, and I thought, oh, I hope I enjoy it still. I hope I enjoy it. Katrina, this was your second pick. We will round out your 3 picks next week. But what are your final thoughts on Stardust?
God, I love this film. I really do. It's got everything. Like, it's got action, it's got comedy, it's got romance.
MTV's Dan Cortez.
It's a thriller. It's a mystery. You've got magic. It's fantasy. It's got everything. It's literally got everything. And I just think it's a wonderful film. And I think that the two protagonists' like love story is really compelling, and you really like their characters, and you like how their interactions are, like how their relationship progresses from like not liking each other to then him saving her to then like her saving him, and they save each other in this film, and I like that a lot. I think she's quite independent for all of her naivete, and I just like this film. I just like it. And Michelle Pfeiffer's great. She's really sexy.
She's so
when she's not sexy.
So good.
That when she's really not sexy, but
honestly, I'm not going to finish that thought.
I still would.
This movie is like the beautiful woman in The Shining in the bath turning into the old wrinkly decomposing woman over and over again. It's like, do you remember Michelle Pfeiffer? Well, now she's this woman, but do you remember Michelle Pfeiffer? I presume we've all seen the resurfaced video of Michelle Pfeiffer in one take whipping off the mannequin heads. Oh my God.
Fantastic.
I
think Stardust is honestly just like a dream film for a bisexual. I think.
And I tell you something, I bet this film was a hoot and a half to film. I bet it was so fun to film.
You can tell that everybody is like just having so much fun with their performances. Like,
it's so underrated, I think, because people only ever talk about it with like Mamma Mia. They're like, oh, I wish I was at Mamma Mia when filming. Yeah.
They were just drunk.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That is why that movie, it's not Godfather 2, but that movie works because it is so infectiously enjoyable, and I think this is an infinitely better film in many ways, but it still has that. It's infectious.
And also, here's something I forgot to mention is at the end when the coronation is happening and Robert De Niro goes, he winks, and then he's like.
Yeah, poor Sienna Miller's going to get cooked by Robert Downey Jr. ploughing Henry Cavill.
No, Robert De Niro. I don't know where
Robert Downey Jr.
Where's Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. just flies in. He's like, hey, guys, Iron Man's out in a year. It's time. I can't believe Victoria and Humphrey got invited to the wedding. That seemed
like an oversight.
You know what? I think Yvain would have done that. Yvain seems like a very petty, as in like I'm all for it. Like she seems quite petty in a lot of ways. I love it.
Okay, round table. Would you ever invite an ex to a wedding? No.
It depends.
I guess that's pretty broad.
there are people I've dated who we were friends and then we dated and it was a bad idea and then we're friends again,
That sounds really healthy. I wouldn't understand. Katrina?
As I've only had very horrible endings to all my relationships, I'm going to go with no, because why would I be inviting them? I don't even speak to them.
This is true.
However, like...
It would be weird if you did invite them.
What constitutes as an ex as well? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. It was just supposed to be yes, no,
but
yes.
How I Met Your Mother had an entire plot point about how you should not invite your exes.
How I Met Your Mother also had a whole plot point about doesn't matter when you lose, doesn't matter if you lose the love of your life, you'll eventually settle for somebody, then they'll die of cancer, and then you'll get back with them. That's the moral of How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Aunt Robin.
He doesn't even wait until the corpse is cold to go and grab that horn and go, hey.
I can't believe the horn's still there, honestly. That's like, with the way the restaurant industry works, like, I did not expect that restaurant to. Oof.
Well, there we go. He's been keeping it.
But anyway, my
Stardust.
final thoughts is that I love Stardust. You should all watch it. I'm so glad that I picked this film. It's a fun
I am
romp.
too.
It's a jolly old
Fantastic film.
It's just a grand old time.
Dabba 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 da da ba 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 ba.